We're bourbon hunting in North Orange County today. Let's see what we find. Awesome, we're outside of Cypress Craft Beer and Liquor in Cypress, California. And yeah, this is a place that we've gone to a lot in the last year or so. We've gotten a lot of our good picks here. And some of you actually have been suggesting it. So happy to come and film.
Yeah, we saw they have a single barrel John J. Bowman pick, so that will probably be a pickup for us, but let's see what else they have.
Yeah, let's do it.
Of course, the first bottles we see when we walk in are Redwood Empire, including this fun little tube for the Lost Monarch. We actually have one of those at home. Nice to display it for $35 each. Over here, we just have a bunch of standard bottles at really good prices. We've got some of the Jack Bonnet lineup for about $30, some Russells, some Wild Turkeys. We have a Nashville Barrel Company small batch rye for $50. We have Evan Williams Bottle & Bond for $20. Just a bunch of really good legacy distillery bottles at good prices. Moving over, we have the Widow Chain 15-year for $250. I know this is a coveted bottle for a lot of people. It is just under 100 proof and is distilled in both Indiana and Tennessee. So there almost certainly is some Dickel in there. Not for us, but we know a lot of people love that bottle. Moving over to the shelves, we have the Whiskey Row lineup from Old Forester, Alberta Premium Cask Strength for $75. Always love pointing that one out. And next to it is this Clover bottle that is a 90 proof 10-year bourbon. Pretty sure there's at least some Dickel in there, but we've heard that won some awards. Some people have given it good reviews. $65. I mean, there's worse products out there. 10-year 90 proof bourbon right there. Moving over, we have the Journeyman lineup. They're a small craft distillery out in Michigan. They do a lot of stuff with smaller barrels, so a little bit of a different profile is what we've heard. Moving over, we have things like Garrison Brothers, some Redemption up top, just a whole bunch of bottles here. Basil Hayden's, some Corbin Cash at the bottom. Moving over, we have the Wilderness Trail lineup for $65 each. And this Backbone Old Bones 10-year bourbon for $130. Just above it, we have some High and Wicked bottles. We really love the cask strength bourbon. We haven't tried these little special one-off bottles. There's a bourbon finished in Tokaji barrels, some Irish whiskey. They have a bunch of random whiskeys in these bottle formats, but like I said, we really love the cask strength bourbon. That is our pick. Below, we have some Stellan bottles for $160. Up top, we have Redwood Empire cask strengths for $75 and the Bottle & Bonds for $90 each. Sagamore Sherry Fizz for $75, one of the best values in whiskey right there, along with some more Stellums and these Davie Counties bottles. At the very bottom, we have a Mythology. There is also the New Riff 6-year malted rye for $70. We've been really interested in that bottle. They have Booker's for $110 and a Caribou Crossing single barrel pick for $70. Apparently it's a must try. They also have High and Wicked rye for $70 and Wild Turkey and Kentucky Spirit. We're told to check out these bottles for the Camp Nelson bottles. Those are the ones to go for. They also have Elijah Craig B524 and a Puncher's Chance signed by Bruce Buffer for $30.
They also had Green River Rye for $36 and the bourbon for $40. These Redline toasted barrel finish and 6-year cask strength bourbons for $100 and the Fortuna from Rare Character for $85. Down below, we pull up the Old Portrero 8-year toasted rye at 132 proof for $85. There's lots of Joseph Magnus for $100 and $110. The special release of the Legend, finished in Yamazaki casks, up top for $200. We're not super into Japanese whiskeys, so we'll leave that on the shelf, but let us know if you've tried that one and liked it. A bunch of Michter's for $40, a Filmland cask strength for $85, some Fox and Odin for $150. The double oaked we heard is actually better than you think, so might have to try that eventually, since we're big double oaked fans. Some Whipsaw we keep seeing for $60, some New England stouted bourbon for $70, and the Remus Gatsby for $250. There's a good amount of Old Elk's cigar cut for $130 and Cognac and Armagnacs for $70, and some other expressions below. Milliman Green and up to the Old Peppers, the bourbon for $90, bottled in blonde bourbon for $55, rye and single barrel rye for $90 and $64, and a fave of ours, the Jack Daniel's single barrel proof rye, this one at 130.5 proof.
They have 2XO Gem of Kentucky for $200, which always entices us. We really want to bring a bottle home, but that $200 is just too much for us to take it. They also have Trails End 10-year at the bottom. 90 proof bourbon coming out of Oregon, actually. I believe this is MGP that they finished with some local Oregon barrels, Oregon Pinot, things like that. So that's a really cool way for a craft distillery to make its mark, and that is only $60. We also have some Kentucky Owls at the bottom. We have Russell's Reserve Single Barrel, Smoke Wagon Uncut Unfiltered for $78, and Redwood Empire Rocket Top for $90, along with the Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Barrel Proof for $65. Moving over to the single barrel shelf, they have Nulu bourbon whiskey finished in maple barrels. They call this a chicken and waffles pick for $90. We have some Scotch picks, some Canadian whiskey picks, along with the Dark Arts right here. Those are just the standard bottles from them, but they're pretty new to California for $95 each. This middle bottle, actually, we've seen pop up at some Costco's for a little bit under $80. Up top, we have a Woodinville bourbon pick for $90, Subtle Spirits for $100, that's supposed to be a good MGP bottler, and Wilderness Trail for $65. We have another Nulu Toasted Bourbon for $85, and a Rye 3 for $80. They also have the James E. Pepper for $65, and some other fun picks, including Ezra Brooks Cast Strength. They have some random other things on this shelf, like Old Elk bottles, Knob Creeks, these Copper Crafts, some Nulus, just a bunch of bottles on these shelves, most of them being picks, but some of them being regular bottles, all at really good prices. Moving over, we have Mythology for $50 and $70. We have a Subtle Spirits Bourbon for $110. And then below that, we have two different ammunition bottles for $50 each. I believe these are finished in Pinot and Cabernet, a bunch of different wine casks. These seem to be getting pretty popular. Down below, we have both the Prideful Goat Rye and Bourbon. Both of these are 6-year cast strength bottles, MGP liquid. And at the bottom, we have basically the whole Laws lineup for about $80 a bottle. Right above it, we have some 3 different picks from Southern Collective. This is another new company to California. They just finally got distribution, and we're starting to see them pop up in different stores. Up top, we see the Frank August bottles, and you can really see the price jump for those special editions. Over to the right, we have some Blue Run, including Pomp and Circumstance with a special badge on it that I haven't seen on any other Blue Run bottle for $250. And then below, we have the whole RD1 lineup. Again, this is another new one to California. We have the small batch bourbon, the Amberana, the French oak finish, and the maple finish. We love our Amberana bottles, but we're excited to try the other ones at some point soon.
At the front corner of the store is a ton more whiskey, often some of their single barrel picks and allocated bottles. The John J. Bowman single barrel pick was what we really wanted for $70. I love the regular John J. B, so I'm stoked to bring this home and try it. We've gotten a lot of great picks from Cypress. They have a great palette that we trust, and their prices are always fair and reasonable. And they always have some good tater stickers like this one, where they made it look like the Parker's Heritage bottles. And the Knob Creek Home Alone Holiday Barrel Select. They also have a New Riff single barrel pick by them for $70. And they also work with a local whiskey group to select some of the picks as well, like this Rebel pick. Over here, we see some Penelopes for about $70 and the Little Book for $170. Down below, there's some Frey Ranch Bourbon for $50 and the standard uncut and the rye below that. Over on the special shelf, we have Blanton's for $100, Eagle Rare for $50, and a 12-year Nashville Barrel Pick for $190. Some Garrison Brothers, Makers, and Blood Oath for $200. Green River Full Proof for $50. This Dream Spirits Single Barrel Proof was interesting with the glass cork. It's MGP for $165. And this Clyde Mays 8-year cast strength for $100. They also had some Ben Holiday 6-year bottled in bond bourbon and the soft red wheat for $60 each. This Old Louisville is new to our area. This is the California batch, uncut, unfiltered, 8 years. Kentucky and Indiana, so not bad for $100. Up top, there's the Yellowstone limited release for $150, the Remus 7 for $100, and a couple 4 gates to the left at $200 and $230. Some smooth Ambler stuff up top, and these Doc Swinsons, rum, cognac, Scotch Quarter, and sherry and cognac for $70 each.
On yet another shelf, we have 2 different Nashville Barrel Company bottles for $90 each, both a bourbon and rye. We have the whole Woodford lineup. We have all the Bardstowns right there, including Discovery number 10 for $140. Below that, more Bardstown bottles along with Tin Cup 14-year in the tube. That's kind of fun for $70. And at the bottom, we spot Dad's Hat Bottled and Bond Rye. We love our cast strength single barrel pick from them. We really want to find more of them. We're going to pass on this Bottled and Bond for $70, but we really hope to see more of those single barrel cast strengths from them. It's just so good and unique. We love supporting craft distilleries. They have Peerless Double Oak Bourbon for $85, Magnus Cigar Blend for $200, and Fortuna Bourbon for $100. They also have more of their picks on display here, along with 1792 Full Proof, Bottled and Bond, and Bowman Brothers at the bottom. They also have a 4-year single barrel Hirsch right here for $50. We really haven't tried anything from Hirsch, haven't heard a lot from them. I know they source from a bunch of different places. Not really sure where this bottle is from, but not too bad for $50. They also have a bunch of different picks on display here, along with this whole shelf that's basically dedicated to barrel right here, craft spirits. We've got the Rye Batch 4, we have the new Foundation for $60, Seagrass right there for Terran at the bottom, along with just a few other random bottles. They also have a Frey Ranch Single Barrel Cast Strength Bourbon pick for $100. This is about 122 proof. And a few other lonely bottles out here. We've got a Puncher's Chance 12-year bottle for $130.
All right, just got out of Cypress. We did end up taking that John J. Bowman single barrel. It's the first pick that we've seen ever.
Yes.
Great option. Otherwise, nothing that we really had to get. Did talk to the owner a little bit. Sounds like they have a Redwood Empire single barrel pick coming out in a month or two. So we'll probably be first in line to grab that.
Yes,
but
absolutely.
Otherwise, hunt continues.
Let's do it. All right, we just made it to our last stop, OC Bottle Shop.
Let's check it out.
Starting off strong with the cheapest prices we've seen for Michter's at $35. All the benchmarks were also super inexpensive, from $23 to $27. This barrel proof was a B522 for $75 and the toasted barrel for $70. And the Old Grandad is hiding for $35.
In the Russell's shelf, we actually have Russell's Reserve single barrel on sale for $55. That's the lowest we've ever seen the bourbon. We prefer going for the single barrel picks, but you can't beat the normal single barrel right there. And Mythology has the cast strength bourbon and American whiskey for $72 each, coming out of Colorado. Next to it, we have Bowman Brothers Small Batch for $30 and Isaac Bowman Port Finish for $50 right there. We really like the Port Finish for the value as a budget option. Below it, we have Woodinville 100% Rye Whiskey for $35, along with some other standard options around it, like Wyoming Whiskey. We also have Redwood Empire Screaming Titan Batch 1 for $110, and next to it, we have the Cast Strength Lost Monarch for $80. Up top, we have Kraken Attacks California, a little rum break for you guys. Couldn't pass up that label. And below it, we have A. Overholt Rye, which is actually a pretty new rye release coming out of Jim Beam with some special mash. That one is $45. Back up top, we have some Rough Rider bottles for $40 each. We've never heard of either of these, but we were caught by the label and the name. Tried looking in the back, still didn't learn a whole lot. It said it was handcrafted in New York. I believe this one is cast strength at 114 proof. Never really heard anything, but let us know if it's good.
Over here, there were some Backbone bottles for $38 to $56, some Frey Ranch Rye, Bourbon, and Uncut for good prices, and the Redwood Empire core lineup for $38 each, and some Rod and Hammer from the Central Coast at the bottom, and some more of the Elijah Craig offerings, as well as the Knob Creek. Back up top, they have a Willet 4-year for $70, some of the Clover whiskey we don't see a lot of near us. They also had a Driftless Glen 96 proof bourbon for $52. That was cool to see since we don't get a lot of that in our Southern California area. Moving over, they had Nassif Family Reserve for $53. Some of the Laws offerings for $90 to $100. A Carmela caramel whiskey hiding in there from California. Jonathan picked it up and we saw it was from El Segundo. We also saw the Caribou Crossing for $90. Some Wild Turkey Rare Breed. This interesting rocket bottle that we had never seen before. We kind of picked it up, looked at it. Didn't seem too interesting, so we put it back. Some more Hirsch, some Houghton Young 12 for $73, and the Mackenzie bottles for $43. Moving over again, they have the High West Double Rye and an Old Pepper Single Barrel Rye, which we really like to pick of that. We got at High Times Wine Cellars in Costa Mesa, but that was a little cheaper than the $55 here. They also had Woodinville for $35 and Wilderness Trail for $68.
Moving up to their store pick display, we have a Knob Creek Single Barrel Bourbon for $66. And right next to it, we have the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. This is a 9-year 117 proof for $75. And next to that, we have a Maker's Mark pick for $75. And then what we're most interested in, the Rare Character Exceptional Series for $155. This is a 9-year 11-month Kentucky Straight Malt Whiskey pick. Pretty sure this comes from Heaven Hill. A lot of people have been raving about this malt whiskey, but it's a little bit too much for us today. And to the right of that, we have the 1792 Full Proof pick for $53. They also have a Buffalo Trace pick, and they actually have it in 375 milliliter bottles along with the standard 750s. We love when stores do this, give you the smaller bottles for a cheaper price. We'll be going home with this for $15. Behind the counter, they have all kinds of whiskey back here with lots of different prices. So we have everything from New England Barrel Company bottles there, Baumburger, Shanks, Heaven Hill Grade in a Glass. We caught our eyes with the Stag for $170. Really thought about that one quite a bit. And right next to it is the Russell's Reserve 15-year for $450. That is right at the secondary pricing, but we've heard the owner is really nice, likes to make some deals, so that could be one that he has some leeway on. Moving down, we also have the Nulu bottles down there. It's actually pick 2 for $180. And the one that caught my eye is that red wax there. Those are finished in tawny port barrels. Seem pretty cool. Not bad prices for Nulu there at basically $90 each. They also have the Old Charter French Oak for $350. And then over to the left, they actually have E.H. Taylor's Single Barrel for $140. And honestly, we've paid more for that in the past, and that's just a really, really good bottle. Not a bad price at all right there. They have a bunch of other things back here, like a whole bunch of different Smoke Wagon bottles, Old Elks, including the Infinity Blend. There's some Orphan Barrel bottles, Basil Hayden's, some rare characters, just a ton of stuff back here. Again, if you're interested in any of these, we've heard go to the store, talk to them. You might be able to walk away with a pretty good deal. All right, we just got out of OC Bottle Shop. Pretty small store, but they have a lot of really good bourbons and selection in general. We walked away with a mini, a 375 of a Buffalo Trace pick, but behind the counter they had E.H. Taylor Single Barrel and Stag for pretty good prices. We definitely thought about it, but for today, just a Buffalo Trace.
And that concludes our bourbon hunt. We walked away with 2 different store picks today, a John J. Bowman Single Barrel and a Buffalo Trace Single Barrel, one of the mini 375s. Hope you guys enjoyed.
Yeah, thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe, like, comment, all that kind of good stuff. And we'll catch you guys next time.